Did the prosecution make a fatal mistake in their prosecution of Lindsay Clancy? It's a great day for a great day. My name is Sydney Rushing. I'm a criminal defense attorney in the state of Michigan. Now let's talk about it. The prosecutors in this case had to prove that Lindsay Clancy unalived her 3 children and that it was premeditated, and that's that, right? So that's what they needed to show. But instead, their strategy, which I have said from the beginning is not effective in any way, and it makes no sense to me, I think it's going to backfire on them and is not helping them at all. Because instead of sticking to what they needed to prove, which is that Lindsay Clancy unalived her 3 kids, and then letting the defense show the mental health side, they called all of her providers. They called all of her providers to say, like, yeah, she was in mental health treatment. She was having these issues. These are all the things. And then allowed Reddington to be able to cross-examine them and get all of this information out from them and get it out his way because he can ask leading questions versus just saying, like, these are the facts of the unaliving and not talking about the mental health providers. They should have let Ian Whiffen basically testify first because that's kind of like what they needed in regards to the location and movement and stuff. And they, would have made it past a directed verdict motion. But the thing is, they didn't make Reddington call these providers, and then they get to bring in their experts and they get to, cross-examine these experts. They brought them in their case in chief. They focused way more on her providers and trying to get her providers to say that, well, yeah, she had mental health, but it wasn't as bad as what was happening. Except one of the providers literally said, like, yes, when this psychosis comes in, it's bam, it hits, it's instantly, it's instantaneous. Like it just happens, right? So the prosecution, I think, made this big fatal mistake in the way that they presented their case because they lost track of what they needed to prove. And instead, we're trying to go after what the defense is, and instead of attacking it on rebuttal, they tried to hit it at the forefront. And I'm telling you that really hurt their case, because why on earth would you ever call the witnesses that are in favor of Lindsay Clancy? And then the defense, again, gets to ask all these cross-examination questions and they get to be leading. So he gets to get exactly what he wants out of them, the way he wants it to come out and the way he wants it to be said, versus making him call them, have to ask the open-ended questions. The prosecutor gets to do all the cross-examination. So it makes no sense to me. I think that they may have made a fatal mistake in presenting their case this way. However, we'll see. Now the defense is into their case in chief, and then the prosecutors will get to do a rebuttal. They likely will. They'll try and rebut the defense's experts, but I think that they made a big mistake in the way that they determined to prosecute their case. They were way too worried and focused on the show of the trial and making everything look one way and the bows and what have you. But I guess we'll see if it was effective. I personally don't think it was. I think that really hurt them, but I'm just me. So thanks for being here. Thanks for following along. And here's the question of the day. Do you think this strategy really hurt the prosecutor by them calling all of her healthcare providers? Or do you think it was a strategic plan and that it was executed greatly? Let me know in the comments.